Hi, this is Juha from Noux Node, and this video is about OT cybersecurity features. Uh, but before we go any deeper, let's take a quick recap first. Noux Node is an IT/OT integration platform. As you know, we have OT technology and then we have IT technology and various applications. And our role is to integrate these two, or rather bring these IT methods to the OT layer. That's our reason for being. And how we do this, architecturally, it looks something like this. There's an OT network with OT devices, typically a PLC, and then there's an edge device that is connecting to this network, and there we install our edge application. And Noux Node is software only company, so we are not delivering these edge devices, but only these edge applications. We are software only, uh, so you can use edge device of your own choosing. And then we have a central application which controls these edges, and also this is where the databases lie and everything if you want to collect data and visualize it and so forth. It can be run on some IT environment, some cloud or server, or even locally, but let's get back to that later. Today we are talking about these cybersecurity features, and first of all, why have we developed these exactly now? Well, there's upcoming cybersecurity regulation. Well, upcoming when I'm recording this video, such as Cyber Resiliency Act (CRA), and then also the machinery directive is or machine directive is going to have impact on cybersecurity features. But we are not now going to too deep to that regulation and what it exactly says. One of the main reasons is that so much depends on the framework that you select. Uh, this what where Noux Node can help you is when you decide to do this in your everyday work, how you actually implement that framework and how you fulfill that. So that's where that's our role then. And in general, this is where we can help you: incident management, recovery, backup and recovery, and then risk mitigation. So these are the categories that we can basically help you with. Incident management means that uh, well, if something bad has happened or is about to happen, so how do you handle that part? How do you cover that? Recovery means that well, something bad basically has already happened. So if there has been, let's say, the system is already down because of cyber attack. Of course, it doesn't have to be so dramatic. This of course applies if let's say lightning strikes and you lose your PLC. So how fast can you recover from that situation? And then risk mitigation. This is not so much the risk assessment part, but then there are certain risks that you have identified. How can we mitigate those probabilities that those will happen, or then uh, some liabilities and stuff like that. But if we take a closer look, uh, our incident management help basically covers this vulnerability checking. So you can see if there are some vulnerabilities in your OT devices, and then that triggers your incident management process. So here we can help you. And then this recovery, like I said, if you lose your PLC for any reason, then what's your backup and restore plan? And when we are talking about PLCs, you should be able to back up and restore both the PLC program and then the parameters, so the variables or their values. And then this risk mitigation part, it's very heavily focusing at the moment on the audit trail. So basically, you can confirm that what has happened and where, and there we have some methods how you can do that. This is of course very heavily. Well, you might be uh, required to have this audit trail by the regulation alone, but then especially liability reasons that you can see that when something has changed and by whom. And of course, this is what we have now, and of course we keep developing new features all the time. But this is what we already have, and this is what covers a lot of cybersecurity already when you start doing things. I will next show you these features from the system, but before we go there, one more thing. Uh, so this that do you have a network connection to your machines? So this online and offline means network in this case, because we do have a lot of customers, or we do have customers who say that they also have machines that will never have a network connection. It can be that the customer never allows it, or something like that. But for that reason, we have developed what we call, or now available, is this kind of a stationary solution. That basically means that you can install the central application locally somewhere, for example, to the edge device if it has enough resources. So this changes the game so that you can have some of these features even if you don't have a network connection to the machine. For example, these audit trail things, you can save them locally there to the local central application. So you will have those even though you don't have access to them all the time. You still have those, and same applies to the backup and restore. You could save these backups locally there, so at least you have them then if you need them, even though you would not have the connection all the time. uh, this vulnerability management and detecting vulnerabilities, that's a bit problematic because, well, that is based on, if not real time, then small lag data, because these vulnerabilities are constantly updated, which is a exposure or vulnerability. So if you don't have a connection at all, that's a bit problematic. If you have sometimes, let's say during annual service visits, then and if you have the connection, then you can of course do this check the vulnerabilities, but of course you need to then remember that it's not very frequent. It's as frequent as you can have the connection. So of course we recommend that you would always have the connection, and therefore you get the most uh, out of our solution that way. But we do realize that it's not always possible, so therefore we have this stationary option also. Okay, and let's now jump to the system itself. So let's start from these vulnerabilities. I will now uh, go to the system, and here is a list of our gateways. I will open a one gateway, and here we have this kind of a scanning feature, and you can see here this has already been well, scanning certain devices. So it can find devices, it can find certain system data out of those, or then it is possible that you can manually add devices, because sometimes those are blocked, especially the metadata part, so that you cannot get this information. So it's possible to also enter it manually, and this scanning function can find the devices in the same network as this edge is. So that is the limitation. But now when we have this data, we have the devices, we have some metadata out of these, and these manufacturers publish their vulnerabilities and exposures that they detect to these kind of vulnerability databases. So we can scan those. Uh, by the way, this is always showing that this is actually scanning the network. I could launch it here. I can configure it here. That does it do it frequently, or and how often, or are you doing this manually, or what? But anyway, so so when we are scanning these critical vulnerabilities and exposures and those databases, we can combine that with this device data, and there now you can see, for example, here that this device has something going on, and if we open this info, we can see that, okay, what is here happening. So there's a CVE related to this device, and of course there's more data from the manufacturer. There's also a link they might publish in their own portal or homepage that how to cover this. And this is nice because this also keeps updating. So if they have fixes and everything, then you can find these fixes here and you know what to do. But anyways, your own process starts from this. So if you discover this kind of a vulnerability, so you can create a ticket out of it, you can create reports out of it. And actually, by the way, you can use this feature also as a basis of your software bill of materials that you need to do. uh, and here we have also a little AI features. So for example, let's try something like this, uh, now based on the detected vulnerabilities. Okay, so this is the generated report, and as you can see, it wrote, well, summary and findings and what not, and then finally these that what would be recommended next steps. So you can use this. It helps you with your incident management, how to do that. All right. Um, then the next topic, uh, this backup and restore features. You probably remember from earlier release notes that we have this, let's see, we have this snapshot feature. Actually, let's first take a look at this. So if we have set up a data collector, that we are collecting data, or these variables, certain variables. Now with this snapshot feature, we can create this kind of a, well, it takes a snapshot in a certain moment in time of these variables, and it keeps them as a set. So you will get, if I would trigger this, uh, we can see them then here, the snapshots, for example, this one here, that okay, these are the values, and when it was taken, and so forth. And this we can then of course write back. Let's go back to the gateway and the snapshots. So this way you could write the similar, or this data set back. So this way you can take a backup of the parameters, variables in its values, and take them back. So if for any reason you lose the values, uh, and this makes it also possible, of course, to create this kind of restore points of the machinery when it's operating, and then get always back to the point where you desire. But that's the parameter part. But then the real trick is actually, how do you back up your PLC? That's the PLC program. That's a bit more trickier. Often they are handled as files, especially when transferring them. And again, you remember we do have these file features here. So we have a virtual file system, and that makes it so that if you drop any file here, you can push it to certain edges, or you can use file transfer panels in the dashboard and push files to the edges, and so forth. But then it's only at the edge. So the question is that how can you get it all the way to the device and then actually even implement that file? For that reason, we have what we call a container management. So basically, if you have a specific container here that communicates with the device, this is the way you can implement them here. And these we call them tech apps. They are technology specific containers and applications that can communicate with the devices, and these are very technology specific, so we always need to be careful that what is included. But what it basically does, this tech app, it enables these certain functions that can be then used in Noux Node system. For example, here with this Beckov PLC tech app, we have 4 functions available. So I could, here from this user interface, I could actually execute certain things. But even more importantly, there's this command URL method. So it is possible to command this tech app from some other system, like for example a version control system. So if you have a new file here, you can use these commands that hey, take the file and actually update the PLC with it, and then reboot it. And what we have here, what I'm now showing is happening purely on this user interface, but this tech app is usable in the data flow, for example. So it is possible to build this kind of full-blown CI/CD pipeline that from version control system you first push the file to the edge, and then you have a HMI panel where the operator can then see that okay, you have a new update, and then let's install that, and then it actually gets done. So this, even though we're now talking about cybersecurity, this also applies to recipe handling, or well, not recipes, but when you need to update the whole PLC program, but as an idea. And then this backup and recovery, and then also security patching. So if you have had this kind of vulnerability and you create a new program where that is covered, it is possible to distribute it to the operators, which would then install it. So this is what you can do by combining our well, the features that we have regarding files, containers, and these tech apps. All right, then the final point, so the audit trail. Let's actually start with this checksum. This is a very general method that is used to monitor and validate that if you're, for example, transferring files, that is the file that was received the same that you originally sent. So there's a, well, you can check what that or I was about to say that you can Google, but of course today you would ask from AI that how the checksum method actually works. But basically it can you can validate that has there been any changes. And some of our customers are using it so that they expose this checksum to, let's say, OPC UA server. Then it's a variable that you can read, and you can have audit logs because you're saving those, or then you can be more active and create alerts that if there has been a change, you know that there shouldn't be any changes in the PLC program, for example, but there has been. So you can trigger an incident and management out of that. All right, but then this syslog, this basically is when the device is operating, it can log a lot of stuff, or the system is operating, and basically, if you collect that data, then you can see that what has been changed, and or has there been some change, and who did that. It normally doesn't tell you exactly what was changed. It just tells that something has been changed by some user. So this is very relevant. Let's say that if you have a let's say safety logic, and of course nobody should be able to change those, and but you can see that okay, some user went there and changed something. Uh, Again, for the audit trail reasons, but if you have an online connection, you can tie alerts to those. And how we do that, this is a bit similar like OPC UA server, that there's a syslog data somewhere. It needs to be published. And to that we have we have a connector. So here, for example, is this kind of a, actually let me show another edge. I think that we have somewhere these, yeah, here you can see that we are taking from couple of devices to slogs, and how they are basically, it's rather simple that they are in some port, and where they are published, and there we collect them, and Node works as normally. And we do have a dashboard panel to show them, so we are collecting these. If I now go to dashboards, and here you can see a syslog panel. I can actually show. So this is how it's basically set up, where it's taking this data. So this is what it then looks like. And of course, there can be a lot of this stuff depending how it's set up and how what all you take in. But this way, you will have at least the audit log reasons, or then the alerts and incident management, depending on how you want to do this. And you can see here that some are just information and some are something else. Okay, but this is what we have so far for the OT cybersecurity. Like I said, we keep developing these, and you will find probably new ways of using these. But the main point is that once you start to actually do this in your everyday work, then we have the tools and solutions for it. So contact us or our partners then. Okay, thanks for watching.